Chapter 3972. Don't worry, I'll definitely find Su Yu. Huamin had always been a dull person. She had never been cheerful. At most, she would joke around with her friends. Therefore, she didn't cry in the face of such a big matter. She didn't sit on the ground and cry in grief either. She only gave in a very simple sentence, I'll definitely find Su Yu. Facts proved that actions were always more important than verbal promises. Huamin used her actions to prove her promise. Of course, to her, Su Yu was as important as family. All these years of entanglement, Su Yu's feelings for her, kindness, and everything Huamin remembered in her heart. And go back to the company and make arrangements. Don't let the company fall into chaos. Huamin remembered that no one was in charge of Su Yu's company. President Hua, I'm just a bodyguard and an assistant. You know, I've never asked about work all these years. Aren't you forcing me to do something beyond my ability? Xiaoan looked troubled. He never knew how to do business, but he knew how to fight. Huamin sighed slightly. This is no small matter. How about this? Give me the contact information of the Vice President of Imperial Star. I'll explain some things. As for the specific next step, I still have to discuss it with Wei Liao, Tang Chuan, and the others. And found the number of the Vice President of Imperial Star from Su Yu's phone and handed it to Huamin. And you call him? Because you're Su Yu's assistant, everything you say has power. But I don't know how to say it. And looked troubled. I'll teach you. Okay. Under Huamin's instructions, and called the Vice President of the company. The gist of it was that President Su had gone on a business trip for a few days to deal with some urgent matters. The company was temporarily handed over to him to manage. He would not take on any big projects, but the small ones would continue. Actually, the company's operations were no longer the same as before. There was no need for the CEO to do everything himself. In a real big company, you just have to find a few capable executives, and then you have to make them understand, and everything will be okay. Therefore, Huamin wasn't worried about the operation of Imperial Star, but this method might work in the short term, but it definitely wouldn't work in the long term. The date of Su Yu's return was a mystery. Huamin didn't even dare to think about whether Su Yu's life would be in danger. What was the purpose of those people capturing Su Yu? Was it revenge? A life for a life? Or extorting a huge sum of money? Or did he have other motives? He didn't know any of this. After that, Huamin looked at the nervous and, have you not eaten yet? And shook his head tiredly. A rumbling sound came from his stomach, and his honest face flushed slightly. Madam. Yang quickly opened the door and came in. Taken to the dining room for breakfast. President Hua, I'm not hungry. I can't eat. And was very angry. If something happened to Su Yu, his sky would collapse. You'll only have the strength to think about how to find Su Yu after you eat. We can't collapse before that. Huamin was always so persuasive. He persuaded him to eat with just a few words. Qin Chu also ended the call with Gao Ran. How is it, honey? Gao Ran has investigated, but no clues. Huamin guessed. Yes, there are no clues. These people are very powerful. They kidnapped Su Yu and planned this for a long time. After hearing that Gao Ran couldn't find anything, Qin Chu was in a bad mood. Su Yu, this love rival, had become Qin Chu's most special friend. Honey, what should we do now? To Auntie Su and the others? Huamin felt very confused and didn't know what to do. Chapter 3973. Of course we can't keep such a big thing a secret. Call Lord Su and the others and tell them. Lord Su must be very sad. Huamin thought about how an old man like him would feel if he knew that something happened to his precious grandson. Then I'll call him. No, I'll do it. Huamin knew that he was more suitable because Huamin had lived with the Su family for more than a year. He was very familiar with all the members of the Su family. Then tell Tang Chuan, Wei Liao, Xiao Wei, and the others to come over. Let's discuss what to do. Okay. Qin Chu nodded, and the couple split up. Lord Su was still in Jing City, but when he heard that something happened to Su Yu, he took a private plane back with Mr. Su. Mrs. Su, on the other hand, ran directly to GK from South Side, her face pale. Tang Chuan, Qin Ning, Wei Liao, and Jiang Xiaowei arrived half an hour later. When everyone heard that Su Yu was missing, almost all of them put down their work and ran to GK headquarters. The atmosphere in GK's president's office was very heavy. Lady Su held a tissue in her hand, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Mian, do you think anything will happen to my Yu? I'm so scared. If anything happens to him, I don't want to live anymore. I can't bear to see my son die before me." Lady Su's cries were heartbreaking, and everyone felt even worse after hearing what she said. "Auntie, Lord Su will definitely be fine. He will be blessed by God," Wei Liao comforted. "Yeah, Auntie, did you forget the blind old man who told our fortunes when we were young? He said that Lord Su was destined to be rich and have children." Tang Chuan really wanted to dig up what happened 700 years ago. "Auntie, don't cry. Let's discuss what to do first." Huamin reached out and placed his hand on the back of Lady Su's hand. Gao Ran was the last to arrive, and he had a lot of documents in his hands. "Any news?" Seeing Gao Ran come in, he quickly stood up. "This is all the information I can find." Gao Ran didn't look too good, and he put down the documents in his hand. Huamin, he picked it up. "We found all this." "Yeah. That's why we don't have any clues. This group is very powerful, and they should be a high-level criminal gang. There must be a hacker in their group, so they hacked into the surveillance system without leaving any trace. Also, there must be more than one master of martial arts who could kidnap Su Yu. That's why they could kidnap Su Yu. But we can't rule out the possibility that it's someone we know," Gao Ran analyzed. Huamin stood up slowly. "I agree with Gao Ran. There must be several masters who could kidnap Su Yu so easily. But there are too many of them and they might be discovered, so the kidnappers might not do that. Then there's the second possibility, which is that Su Yu might know one of them and let his guard down. That's impossible. We're the only people who know Su Yu well. Other than us, no one can kidnap him." "What about Shen Mingxi and Yaling Xian?" Jiang Xiaowei asked. Her speculation was reasonable. Other than the few people present, Shen Mingxi and Yaling Xian were the most suspicious. "Shen Mingxi, that's impossible," Wei Liao said. "Ever since he remarried Ying, he's been extremely grateful to Mr. Su. Plus, he and Ying were in Harbor City cutting clothes for a new company. They left yesterday morning and haven't come back yet, so it's not valid." To his surprise, Wei Liao, who hated Shen Mingxi the most, helped him clarify the matter. "I've also checked Yaling Xian. She's still in the States. There's no motive or environment for the crime," Qin Chu said. "What should we do? Is it possible that the kidnappers are secret agents? What state secrets are involved?" Tang Chuan's imagination ran wild. "Auntie, you should pay attention to your phone. If the kidnappers want money, I think they'll contact your family." Qin Chu looked at Lady Su, who was sitting on the sofa with a pale face. Chapter 3974. Lady Su nodded weakly. In the end, everyone left on bad terms. Su Yu's disappearance cast a thick layer of haze over everyone in the circle. Su Yu was like Huamin, he was a core figure in the circle. Once he activated his entire body, therefore, everyone's mood was particularly depressed. When they walked out, Qin Ning was still puzzled. Say, Lord Su is so powerful, but he was taken away. If the target was me, wouldn't I have died hundreds of times? Bah, you little brat, I won't allow you to say such inauspicious things. Tang Chuan rubbed Qin Ning's cheeks with both hands, feeling sad and distressed. "Ha, I'm joking. Don't be nervous. Don't joke like this in the future, or you'll what?" Qin Ning raised her face, obviously provoking him. She knew that Tang Chuan doted on her a lot. Usually, he didn't even dare to speak too loudly, afraid that he would scare the little princess. "Or I'll spank your butt with a wooden board with such a long nail. Then I'll spank your butt until it bleeds," Tang Chuan threatened. "Okay, Mr. Tang, stop bragging. Let's just enjoy ourselves." Qin Ning intimately held onto Tang Chuan's arm, and the two of them walked to the company. Qin Ning's newly established marine biological technology company was a female skincare company. Because it was newly established, it wasn't well known yet, so it was registered under Tang Chuan's company. The two of them went to work and got off work together, similar to Hua Min and Qin Chu. Ever since Qin Ning returned to China, she had been radiant. In addition to work, she had made many new friends and was very active in the upper-class circle. On weekends, she drove a $10 million luxury car to take the twins out to play and eat. She had long forgotten about her father who was far away in the States. Fortunately, Qin Chu's second uncle didn't care so much. After Su Yu's accident, everyone tried to find him through various channels. Wei Liao and Tang Chuan had even privately sought out the mafia bosses in the provinces whom they had not had much contact with for many years. However, 3 days had passed, and there was still no news of Su Yu. Fortunately, the company could still operate normally. All information was sealed off. This was the order of Master Lord Su. In order to cause the outside world to make wild guesses and panic among the company's employees, Lord Su ordered that no one was allowed to leak the news of Su Yu's disappearance, and didn't close his eyes for 3 days and 3 nights in that empty villa. Su Yu's shadow was everywhere. As a bodyguard, Shaoan was very sad to lose his master. But the Su family didn't blame him. When Lord Su and his father rushed back from the capital that day, they only secretly met with Qin Chu and Hua Min. The old man's mood was extremely heavy, and his back view made Hua Min's heart ache. Han Yueyao had been rehearsing and didn't know what had happened. However, she hadn't contacted Su Yu for 3 days. At first, she wanted to maintain her dignity. She felt that it wasn't good to take the initiative to message President Su. After all, he was so busy. Later, she couldn't take it anymore and sent a message, but Su Yu didn't respond. Finally, she couldn't help but ask her assistant. "Recently, have you seen President Su? He's in the company." "No, I really didn't pay much attention. Now that you mention it, I remember that I haven't seen President Su in the past few days." The assistant also realized it. "Has anyone seen him in the company? I'm not sure. Why don't you ask?" Han Yueyao shook her head. During the break in her dance practice, she sat on the edge of the wall, sweating profusely, and took out her phone. Unwilling to give up, she sent another WeChat message. "President Su, practicing dance is so stressful. I feel suffocated. How about I take you out for a ride in my Bugatti Veyron?" Chapter 3975. 5 minutes later, there was still no response. Han Yueyao was a little disappointed. What she didn't know was that Su Yu's phone was in Hua Min's hands. After An brought it to him that day, Hua Min had been keeping it. Gao Ran would occasionally use it to investigate. Hua Min didn't like to invade other people's privacy, so she sent Su Yu's calls to voicemail. He never replied to her WeChat messages. When Han Yueyao sent the WeChat message, Hua Min was staring at Su Yu's phone in a daze. She glanced at it and saw the message. She wanted to tell Han Yueyao that Su Yu was missing. But when she thought of Lord Su's words, the fewer people who knew, the better. As a member of the Su family, no one knew if Su Yu's disappearance was due to personal reasons or if the military was involved. Therefore, Lord Su didn't want to announce it to the public and could only search in secret. However, even with Lord Su's great power, there was still no news after 3 days. Su Yu didn't have a tracker on him, so they couldn't locate him. In other words, they had to activate their heavenly eye and start searching with satellite positioning. It was like looking for a needle in a haystack. It was so uncertain. Moreover, everyone knew that their opponent might be a highly intelligent and high-tech criminal trafficker. If the system could do such a perfect restoration, its anti-reconnaissance ability was probably very strong. Qin Chu went to the conference room for a meeting. Hua Min sat in his office absent-mindedly. "Madam, have something to eat. Look at how much you've been eating these days." Yang didn't know what happened, but the president and madam had been worried recently. Hua Mian only took a sip of the warm milk or didn't take a sip at all. The lunch was delivered by the restaurant. Hua Min put down his chopsticks after a few bites. "I'm fine. Go to your work." At this moment, Hua Min's phone rang. It was a video call. "Mommy?" Little Bean's chubby little face was especially cute in front of the camera. "Little Bean, are you on your lunch break?" "I did very well today. I ate 2 servings of rice." Well, that's great. Where's big sis? My sister isn't as awesome as I am. She's a picky eater. She picked out all the carrots and cabbages and only ate the meat. The two of you, remember what your mother said? You need to have a balanced diet. I know. Handsome Sue said that if we eat well, he'll take us to Tokyo Disneyland at the end of the month. When did he say that? Huamin's heart skipped a beat. Last week, when I was video chatting with him, my sister and I wanted to go to Disneyland, but this is too far away and unsafe. Handsome Sue said he's going to Tokyo for a meeting at the end of the month, and he can take us with him. He even said he'll help us convince Mommy. Huamin didn't say anything after hearing that. His heart grew heavier. Mommy, did Handsome Sue ask you for permission? Did you approve it? My sister and I will be obedient. My sister has money, so we won't spend Handsome Sue's money. I also promise you that I won't eat desserts for a month, okay? Little Bean video chatted to ask if Suyu told Huamin about going to Japan. The world of children was so simple. They only knew how to eat, drink, and have fun. Even if they were genius twins, they were still naive children. They didn't know that something had happened to Suyu. He told me. Huamin's emotions were complicated, and his voice was choked with sobs. Do you agree? Little Bean asked carefully. It was obvious that she was afraid of her mother. Yes, when Uncle Sue comes back from his business trip, I'll ask him to take you. Huamin tried to control his emotions so that he wouldn't lose control in front of his children. But that's great. Mommy, I love you. Pa, I'll tell Handsome Sue the good news later. Little Bean was so happy that she danced. Chapter 3976. Little Bean's words made things worse, and Huamin's heart sank even more. Little Bean, don't video call or call Uncle Sue for the next few days. But Little Bean didn't understand. She tilted her head and looked at her mother, seemingly a little dissatisfied. Because Uncle Sue is on a business trip. He's very busy and doesn't have time to chat with you. Huh? Why didn't he tell me that? You're just a kid, Uncle Sue can't tell you everything. Anyway, don't ask about adult things. You and your sister can focus on school. Okay, Mommy, you have to keep your word. When Handsome Sue comes back from his business trip, you have to agree to let him take us to Japan. As long as he comes back, I'll agree. Huamin felt like she couldn't continue. She didn't wait for Little Bean to say goodbye and hurriedly hung up the video call. She was extremely upset. Outside the office, Chin Chu came back from a meeting and looked at Huamin through the glass window. He was also worried. She still didn't eat anything? Chin Chu asked Assistant Yang. Yeah, she still didn't eat anything. She didn't even drink the milk I warmed for her. Okay, I got it. President Chin, what's wrong with Madam? It's rare to see her like this. She seems to be very angry. Even Yang could tell that Huamin was very strange these 2 days. It's okay, let me do it. Chin Chu took the freshly warmed milk from Yang and walked in. You can't not eat anything, the child has to eat. Chin Chu carefully placed the milk on the coffee table in front of Huamin. Huamin only reacted when she heard her husband's voice. Honey, I'm really not hungry. It's not for you, it's for the child. Yu Yao is hungry. This was the first time Chin Chu called Huamin the child's name. Because the child didn't have a nickname, he called him Yu Yao. Huamin's heart skipped a beat. Maybe her husband convinced her. She picked up the glass of milk and slowly drank it. The couple didn't say much. Chin Chu knew that Huamin was smart. She understood everything he said. If she can't get over it, it's useless no matter what you say. In fact, Huamin couldn't get over it either. There was no news of Suyu, and he didn't even know if he was dead or alive. Chin Chu was also in a bad mood. He only hoped that this was a simple kidnapping. He thought that Suyu would go undercover and fight a battle of wits and courage with the kidnappers before returning safely. Inside the school after hanging up the video call, Little Bean was a little confused. Sis, don't you think that Mommy is a little strange? Pudding didn't show up when Little Bean was video chatting with Mommy, but she heard everything. Yes, a little. You noticed it too? Little Bean leaned over and looked at Pudding. Mommy's voice is a little strange. She doesn't sound happy. I wonder if she had a fight with Daddy? Pudding guessed. That's impossible. The whole world knows that Daddy doesn't have the heart to make Mommy angry. How could they have a fight? I think it's because Mommy is about to give birth to a little brother. What's it called? Prenatal mania. Pooh, don't talk nonsense. I've heard of prenatal depression, but I've never heard of prenatal mania. Pudding admired her sister's ability to make up stories. Those who didn't understand would be stunned by her sister's lies. Of course, Galbuyan was one of the biggest victims. Anyway, I think Mommy is a little strange. We'd better stay away from her, Little Bean muttered. I'm going to Auntie Wei Ying's house after school. Do you want to come? You must have an appointment with Yunchu. That's his auntie's house. I'm not going. Little Bean tilted her head and walked away. Shaking her head helplessly, Pudding picked up her WeChat and sent a message to Suyu. Handsome Sue, Mommy said you're on a business trip. Come back soon. Little Bean and I will miss you. Chapter 3977. The whole city seemed to be gloomy because of Suyu's disappearance. Sea City had been cloudy these days, but it didn't snow. The gloomy atmosphere made people irritated. It was hard to be in a good mood. What they talked about the most in the group was their progress in finding Suyu every day. Wei Liao and Tang Chuan put down almost all their businesses to find Suyu. Gao Ran used his power in the Municipal Public Security Bureau to try to find a breakthrough. Qin Chu even contacted Rick and used some foreign videos to see if he could find anything. No, we haven't found anything yet. If we find anything, I'll tell you immediately. I understand. Money isn't a problem. I'll do whatever it takes. Don't worry, I know how important he is to you. Rick spoke to Qin Chu in fluent English. After hanging up, Rick turned to look at Lu Yen. You were talking to my brother-in-law, right? Lu Yen smiled. You even know this? Don't tell me you installed a bug on my phone as well? Rick's face was cold. Lu Yen looked at him with disdain. Come on, I'm not that low. Isn't it easy to guess? My brother-in-law is your only friend. Rick. Now it was Rick's turn to feel awkward. Lu Yan's sharpness was well-deserved. Alright, enough nonsense. Let's talk about our cooperation first. Rick changed the topic. He didn't expect Suyu to have anything to do with Lu Yen, so he didn't tell Lu Yen about it. Lu Yen had agreed to take this job mostly because of her brother-in-law. Otherwise, she wouldn't even want to make 1 billion because she hated seeing that bastard Cassius. Cassius is most afraid of you. Rick immediately looked up at Lu Yen, who was applying lipstick in front of a small mirror. Yeah, continue. Caslias has been in Colombia recently. Because it involves my partner, I have no choice but to do this. I'm afraid you'll have to make a personal trip. There's no other way. Transfer the rest of the money to my Swiss account. Shouldn't you give it to me after you're done? Rick was speechless. Are you kidding me? I always collect the money first. Seeing the money gives me motivation. Otherwise, I really don't want to take another look at that damn pervert. After putting on makeup, Lu Yen put the Chanel lipstick in her purse. Money is not a problem. I will transfer it now. When do you plan to go to Colombia? Lu Yen looked down at her watch. I'll take my private jet there in half an hour. But let me make this clear. If I use any extreme means, don't blame me for leaving you a mess. For example? Rick was unsure. For example, when you blow up that pervert, you accidentally blow up your partner. Rick? Ms. Lu Yen, I'm not married yet. Please call me Queen Lu Yen. Rick, I know you're a bomb genius, but can you not use a bomb this time? I'm afraid it'll hurt my goods. Rick was also in a terrible fix. If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't transport the goods back safely, he really didn't want to deal with Lu Yen. Lu Yen, it was really difficult to get along with. Rick suddenly felt that his wife, Cece, was really gentle and virtuous. She was the role model of a typical Chinese woman. Anyone who accidentally fell in love with Lu Yen would have to worry about her. Are you cursing me in your mind? Seeing Rick's silence, Lu Yen guessed that he had a lot going on in his mind. Ahem. It's okay. Go ahead and curse me. I don't mind. But if you continue to talk to me and delay my dinner, I might have to pay you $100 million more. Rick, I really don't think you should be a mercenary. You should be a bandit, Rick commented on Lu Yen. Chapter 3978. Even if I want to be a bandit, I want to be a bandit who loves scientific research and culture. Rick was speechless at Lu Yen's words. Rick had thought Lu Yen said she would take off in half an hour because she needed to prepare. What was there to do? But she actually used half an hour to eat dinner. When Lu Yen was pretentious, she was very picky about the recipes and even had to check the ingredients herself. But if she suddenly wanted to eat something, it would be difficult for the chef. The two of them met in Rick's territory, New Orleans, America. The meeting place was one of Rick's manors in New Orleans. Although there were many chefs, most of them were foreigners. So when Lu Yen ordered a plate of Yangzhou fried rice, the foreigners standing in a row were dumbfounded. Mr. Rick, Miss Lu Yen said she wanted egg fried rice, but our chefs are limited, his subordinate reported. So Miss Lu Yen said that if she doesn't see Yangzhou fried rice in half an hour, she might be in a bad mood. If she's in a bad mood, she might not be able to go to Colombia. She's the most troublesome. Rick was speechless. So what should we do now? It takes 40 minutes to drive back and forth to the nearest Chinese restaurant, so I suggest you call the chef who cooks for Madam. Rick was enlightened. Why didn't he think of this? He was so busy that he didn't know what to do. When Cece was here, she wasn't used to Western food. Especially after she got pregnant, she missed the food from her hometown. Rick worked hard to find a mother who was studying here with her child to be a chef. Although the auntie's cooking wasn't at the level of a chef, her home-cooked dishes made Cece miss her hometown. She had been using her very well. Is Auntie Cui here? Rick asked his subordinate. Yeah, she's in Madam's mansion. Ask her to come over and cook for Ancestor Lu. Rick had no other choice. If he had any other choice, he wouldn't have gone along with Lu Yen. Lu Yen wasn't being pretentious. Her subordinates all knew that their boss's taste was changeable. One day, she might want to eat roasted sweet potatoes. The next day, she might want to eat spaghetti. When she was flying, she had to bring 2 chefs with her on her private plane. There were both Chinese and Western food. Therefore, Xiao Fei was quite lucky to be able to travel with her all the time. 15 minutes later, Cece's personal cook, Auntie Cui, carefully brought over a bowl of steaming hot egg fried rice. Miss, this is cooked by me. It may not be that delicious, and I don't have enough ingredients. I heard that you have a flight to catch, so I made a simple egg fried rice, not Yangzhou fried rice. You can try it. Auntie Cui didn't know Lu Yan's identity and thought she was just a rich Chinese girl. But his friendly attitude made Lu Yen feel comfortable. Auntie, you've worked hard. Have a seat, I'll try it. With a smile, Lu Yen pulled the plate over and scooped a small spoonful into her mouth, chewing carefully. Then, he nodded and gobbled up the entire plate of fried rice. Auntie, where did you buy these eggs? Lu Yen asked. I didn't buy them. Mr. Rick's wife's family brought them over from China. They're all eggs laid by the stupid chickens at home. They don't have any feed. They're very natural. No wonder it smells so good. Thank you for your hard work, Auntie. When Lu Yen was polite, she looked like a scholar. You're welcome. As long as you like it. Lu Yen elegantly took out a tissue and wiped the corners of her mouth. Then she left a stack of things in front of Auntie Cui. She was shockingly fast. By the time Auntie Cui saw it clearly, Lu Yen was already far away. Chapter 3979. No one saw when Lu Yen took out the cash. Auntie Cui had a stack of US dollars in her hand. It wasn't very thick, but there were at least 50 US dollars. They were all 100 US dollars. In total, 50 US dollars was more than 5,000 US dollars. If converted to RMB, it would be around 30,000 yuan. Auntie Cui was a working-class woman. Her husband cheated on her and divorced her, so it was hard for her to raise her daughter. Her daughter came to the US with a scholarship, but she still had to sell her old house in China. So, she didn't have much money to live here. Fortunately, Rick treated her well. Ever since she came here to cook for Cece. In a month, Rick gave her 3,000 US dollars, which was close to 20,000 renminbi. That was a month's salary. She was very grateful. Cece was a good person. She wasn't picky and would often give her and her daughter gifts. She was already very satisfied. Now, she only made a simple egg-fried rice, and this rich beauty in front of her gave her a tip of more than 5,000 renminbi. This level of extravagance left her flabbergasted. She didn't even dare to take it. Instead, she took the money and prepared to give it to her employer. Rick glanced at it calmly. He wasn't surprised. He had heard that Lu Yen spent money like water. Anyway, take it. This is nothing. It's the ancestors' money. You won't be able to spend it all in a few lifetimes. Rick was right. Lu Yen had a shocking amount of money. Poverty really limited one's imagination. It was said that Lu Yen spent the most money on her 18th birthday. She bought herself a newly built building. It was said that it cost 10 billion renminbi. Lu Yen bought it for 2 billion renminbi. However, after she bought it, it was blown to pieces in less than an hour. When outsiders asked, she just calmly said that she wanted to test the explosive power of the newly developed bomb. Many people in the mercenary world talked about this. Lu Yen, the living god of wealth, was also an idol and legend in the mercenary world. After dinner, Lu Yen took a private plane to Colombia. She helped Rick transport the goods, and Xiao Fei went to the Golden Triangle. It was said that someone saw Xiaonan there. Ever since Xiaonan disappeared, Xiao Fei's father was anxious and wanted to find Xiaonan. But Xiao Fei didn't know that Xiaonan didn't dare to come back or show up because he was afraid of being killed by Lu Yen. So, he hid in the Golden Triangle like a coward. At this very moment, in the depths of a primeval forest under the cover of the dense trees, a group of wooden bamboo buildings were hidden here. Is Suyu awake? The woman asked. He just woke up. His consciousness isn't very clear yet. Is that so? Then I'll go and see him in such a sorry state. The woman smiled and stood up with a bottle of red wine in her hand. After passing through a long bamboo forest, the woman came to a heavily guarded wooden house. The wooden house had no windows, only a door. It was very small, like a dog's hole. When the guard saw the woman, he bowed respectfully. The woman did not look at them. Instead, she pushed open the door and bent down to enter the small wooden house. At this time, Suyu had just woken up, and his head was still throbbing with pain. President Su, we meet again. It's been more than 5 years. I really missed you. Every night, I would dream of you and dream of our reunion. Hearing the woman's voice, Suyu slowly raised his head. He seemed to be unsure of what he had seen. You're not sure? Then I'll help you wake up. With a smile, the woman pulled out the cork from the wine bottle and poured all the red wine on Suyu's head, drenching him from top to bottom. Xianxia, I haven't seen you in a few years. You're getting better and better. What's wrong? Didn't you have enough prison food? Suyu ignored the red wine on his head and chuckled. Chapter 3980. Now, Suyu was certain that the person he saw that night was Xianxia. That was why he was so shocked that he didn't notice the person behind him and the anesthetic needle flying at him. Everything happened too fast, in the blink of an eye. To be honest, if this woman didn't appear in front of him of her own accord, Suyu would have completely forgotten about this person's existence. 5 years ago, Xianxia was a very popular actress. At that time, Jian Tong wasn't famous, and Mian had just joined Imperial Star. Nie Lingxian hadn't become the best actress yet. Because Xianxia was pretty and good at acting, she became one of the most popular actresses that year. Imperial Star also supported her. However, Xianxia only wanted to sleep with Suyu. She failed to confess to him many times and then framed Huamian. Because she found out that Suyu liked an average-looking female doctor at Southside, she was jealous and used all kinds of methods. She was extremely despicable. Suyu warned her several times, but she didn't listen. In the end, after she failed to frame Huamin, Suyu was furious and sent her to prison. Of course, it was also to let her reflect on her mistakes in prison. What Suyu didn't know was that Xianxia was released from prison for medical treatment because of her illness after a year in prison. Since then, there had been no news of her. The person who shouldn't have appeared. Suyu knew Xianxia's purpose very well. She was probably here for revenge because now, it wasn't just because Suyu sent her to prison for more than a year. It also involved an innocent life, and that was Zhao Qingya's younger sister, Xiaoxia. Back then, her sister was famous but suddenly went to prison. The rumors said that it was because the CEO of Imperial Star, Su Yu, fell in love with the female doctor at Southside, Huamin. So, in order to please his new girlfriend, he killed Zhao Qingya. Of course, it wasn't true. It was all made up by some unscrupulous small media outlets and some imaginative netizens. Unfortunately, Zhao Xia believed her. She was still a college student at that time, and she wanted to avenge her sister. He had no power or influence, but he wanted to trip up Su Yu, so he could only choose the most impossible method. She committed suicide in Su Yu's mansion and used public opinion to frame Su Yu as the murderer. She couldn't explain herself. Fortunately, it was Su Yu's birthday that day. He went to see Huamin alone, so he had the opportunity to clarify things. Therefore, Zhao Xia's plot did not succeed. She had sacrificed her life for nothing. Later, after Zhao Xia's death, Su Yu felt sorry for the Zhao family and even compensated them with a huge sum of money. Unexpectedly, Zhao Xia's boyfriend, the male Dr. Lu Zihai, came back to avenge his girlfriend. This led to a series of conspiracy theories. After Lu Zhi's crushing defeat, he once again fled overseas with his tail between his legs. Before he left, he even warned Huamin that this matter was not over. At that time, Lu Zhi must have known that Zhao Qingya would come back for revenge, right? Yes, everything had happened a few years ago. Now that Su Yu thought about it, it felt like a lifetime ago. If he didn't see Zhao Qingya in person and this familiar face, he really would have forgotten about this grudge. Shut up. You bastard, you almost killed me. You also killed my innocent Xia. People like you don't deserve to live in this world. You should go to the 18th level of hell. Zhao Qingya's eyes were filled with deep resentment. She was so agitated that she used the empty wine bottle to hit Su Yu's head. Instantly, the wine bottle smashed into pieces. A flower of blood bloomed on Su Yu's head. Instantly, Su Yu felt his head go numb. His body swayed and he fell to the ground. Chapter 3981. Aren't you very powerful? Aren't you the young master of the Su family? Aren't you omnipotent? Ha! Zhao Qingya looked at Su Yu, who was being tortured, and laughed maniacally. The thrill of revenge swept through her body, and she even felt that every cell in her body was waking up. Cut the crap. Kill me if you want. I don't have time to reminisce with you. Su Yu's voice was very weak. He couldn't fight back because Zhao Qingya had become stronger. It was because Su Yu was still under the anesthesia. He had just woken up, but his hands and feet were still controlled by the drug and couldn't coordinate well. Therefore, even though he saw the wine bottle Zhao Qingya threw at him, he couldn't fight back. Su Yu couldn't fight back. You want to die so soon? You're so spineless. President Su, tell me, are you a coward? Zhao Qingya squatted on the ground and reached out to pull Su Yu's bloody hair. I don't know if I'm a coward or not, but I know you're a bitch. Su Yu rarely cursed, but Zhao Qingya was really annoying. Back then, he was so annoyed that if she wasn't an actress in his company, he would have kicked her out. However, this woman didn't learn her lesson and kept doing extreme things. Do you regret not killing me in prison back then? Zhao Qingya smiled, so you didn't say anything. His head was starting to hurt. He didn't know if glass shards had entered his scalp, but he felt very tired and in pain. You saints, you're doing dirty things while telling us to turn over a new leaf. Why do you have to give yourself the reputation of being a good person? But you're not as good as Huasiqian in this aspect. He basically gets rid of people. If you killed me back then, you wouldn't be here now. So, what's the saying again? Every dog has its day, right? If you want revenge, just do it. What's the point of talking so much? Su Yu said with disdain. He didn't even want to look at this woman. Don't worry. I'm not done yet. President Su, my dear President Su, aren't you curious how I got to where I am today? Su Yu only recognized Zhao Qingya, but he didn't observe her closely. He could still recognize her because her outline was still there. But in fact, Zhao Qingya was very different from 5 years ago. She's had facial surgery, but it was only slightly, so she still looked the same as before. But upon closer inspection, one would find that her eyes had changed color. It was a slightly green light, especially in the middle of the night. Just like some wild beasts in the mountains, this was a very popular thing in foreign countries recently. It was called pupil tattoos. It was to use chemical potions to change the whites of one's eyes into the color one liked. It was very dangerous and was banned overseas. It was also called a game for lunatics in the black market. Xianxia's pupil tattoo was only a little. She had tattoos all over her body, including her butt and toes. She hadn't had a good life in the past few years. It could only be said that she wouldn't be as glamorous as before. That kind of rich and glamorous life where she had tens of millions of fans, her salary was easily in the 8 digits, and many men fell at her feet. Back then, when I was in prison, I was so desperate that I wanted to commit suicide. I even was raped by those damn female prisoners. You don't know how perverted it was. In fact, I should have let you go to prison and experience my pain. Xianxia smiled. Then she reached out and lifted Su Yu's chin. Look at me, Su Yu, she said. Chapter 3982. Su Yu lowered his head, blood still trickling down from the wound on his head. The warm blood flowed between Xianxia's fingers, making her even more excited. You might not know the price I paid to escape from that inhumane prison. Oh, little Y is a crazy fan of mine. When he found out that I was in prison, he was thinking about how to get me out. However, he was an overseas Chinese and didn't have enough power here, so he could only choose a very dangerous and extreme method. That is, the book he gave me was laced with tuberculosis. I dipped it in my saliva and successfully contracted the virus. Then little Y paid a huge sum of money to bail me out for medical treatment. Luckily, I was lucky enough to survive such a serious case of tuberculosis. God let me live for one reason, and that is to wait for this day, the day I get my revenge. Although Xianxia said all this with a smile, there were tears in her smile. She downplayed tuberculosis, but it was actually a very serious disease that could endanger one's life at any time. Also, it could be transmitted to others. Su Yu didn't say anything and continued to listen to her. For the past 5 years, I've been thinking about coming back to China to find you. I've been looking for an opportunity. I've been saving my energy. I've been holding it in so that I can be fully prepared. Okay, Miss Xiao, you win. Hurry up and do it. I'd rather see the king of hell than see your widow face. Su Yu really didn't like Xianxia. He hated her before, he hated her now, and he wouldn't like her in the future. Therefore, he always tried to provoke Xianxia so that she would kill him. Now that he was in her hands, he wouldn't have an easy time. Do you want to die? It won't be that easy. I haven't had enough fun yet. Do whatever you want. Steam, boil, stew, whatever. If I make a sound, then I'm not a real man. Su Yu sneered. Su Yu used to be in the special forces, so his dignity and courage were ingrained in his bones. He knew that he wouldn't have an easy time after hearing Xianxia's crazy behavior. This woman was most likely mentally unstable. She had lived with hatred for 5 years. Come to think of it, it made sense. How could he still be like a normal person? Therefore, the moment he was captured, he was already prepared not to return alive. Everyone had their own fate. He was indeed soft-hearted and didn't eliminate the source of the problem, which led to Xianxia coming back for revenge. In the unseen world, everything was fated. Therefore, at this moment, Su Yu accepted his fate. However, he wasn't afraid. Since he was going to die anyway, he had to have a backbone until the end. He wanted everyone to see if the men of the Su family were truly strong men with the characteristics of northern wolves. You're still so cute. You know, back then, I was mesmerized by your fearless temperament. Su Yu, why are you still so cute? If it wasn't for all that happened between us, I really want to become your wife and fly together with you. Don't disgust me. I won't marry a whore. Su Yu sneered, and then a drop of blood flowed down from his forehead. At this moment, his handsome face had an indescribable sense of beauty. But you're going to die in the hands of a whore. So you tell me, isn't this karma for you? Xianxia seemed to be very proud. She knew that Su Yu was powerless now. He was like an ant that she could crush at any time. So be it. I'll be a man again in 18 years. To be honest, Su Yu was never afraid of death. He wasn't afraid when he was in the army, and he wasn't afraid now. I know you're not afraid. That's why I won't let you die. But do you think, if I let Huamin come here to accompany you, would you be happier? Zhao Qingya smiled sinisterly. When Su Yu heard Huamin's name, his heart suddenly trembled. Indeed, she had hit his sore spot. The whole world knew that Huamin was Su Yu's weakness. It had always been so for 5 years. Chapter 3983. Zhao Qingya, I'm warning you. If you dare to touch me on, I won't let you off even if I become a ghost. Su Yu didn't shout or get agitated. He only said these words calmly. However, his words were very intimidating. It was because he could still speak calmly under such an atmosphere that it showed how much restraint he had. As expected, you're still as despicable as ever, Su Yu. Zhao Qingya's eyes curved into slits as she smiled. She seemed to have expected Su Yu's reaction. In the past 5 years, he had never left Huamin. He used his good friend to protect her. As long as something happened to Huamin, other than Qin Chu, Su Yu was always the first to arrive. Back when Zhao Qingya was overseas, she received information about Su Yu and Huamin. She was so jealous that she almost went crazy. The information was very clear. In order to save Huamin, Su Yu pointed a gun at his temple and threatened his grandfather to save him. In order to protect Huamin, Su Yu let her stay with the Su family for an entire year while she was pregnant. When Huamin went into labor, Su Yu was the one who stayed with her from the beginning to the end. During the 4 years that Qin Chu was recuperating in the United States, Su Yu took care of the twins and Huamin. Su Yu always helped to organize Huamin's birthday celebration. It was even grander than Imperial Star's anniversary celebration. In the past 5 years, Su Yu had been involved in many scandals, but there was no one by his side. He played the role of a knight from the beginning to the end, protecting his princess. Even if his princess didn't have him in her heart, even if his princess and her husband got back together, even if his princess was pregnant with her second child and the whole family was happy, even if Su Yu had been mocked by his friends for being a bachelor for the past 5 years, he didn't care anymore. For Huamin, he had already sacrificed a man's most precious youth. And the most sincere heart. At first, Zhao Qingya thought that Su Yu's pursuit of Huamin was just a spur of the moment and wouldn't last long. Even if he managed to get her, he would get tired of her after playing with her for a while. But he didn't. Many people were shocked when they found out about this. Everyone would think that you are actually this kind of Su Yu. What playboy? What playboy? These were all just on the surface. Su Yu's heart was as pure as a child's. He was as persistent as a madman. As expected, men value what they can't get the most. Huamin is also a powerful person. She has been keeping you in suspense for the past 5 years. She didn't agree to be with you, but she didn't reject you either. She used you as a spare tire. I'm afraid that if Qin Chu doesn't come back, you'll be her second choice. Zhao Qingya hated Huamin to the core. Her hatred was no less than her hatred for Su Yu. Mion has never been like that. Don't slander her. Huamin's rejection of Su Yu was very clear. She never gave him any hope. The person involved knew this best. Forget it. Do you think Huamin is really a goddess? She's just a scheming bitch like me. To think that you've always treated her like a treasure. She's so powerful. She's playing with the 2 most outstanding men in the world. They risked their lives for her. Now that she's pregnant with her second child, she's still talking about it everywhere. Does she meet you in private often? Zhao Qingya, watch your mouth. Su Yu was angry because Huamin was demonized by Zhao Qingya. What? I only scolded her a few times and your heart aches? You can't take it anymore. If I catch Huamin and torture her in front of you, will you go crazy? Zhao Qingya smiled smugly. You can't catch her. You don't have the ability. Su Yu thought Huamin's protection was top-notch. Other than Qin Chu's men, his men, and Lu Yan's men were secretly protecting Huamin. It would be harder than reaching the sky to touch Huamin. Su Yu, let's do a fun experiment. Let's see if the woman you've sacrificed everything for is worth it. Zhao Qingya took out her cell phone and dialed a number. Su Yu suddenly had a bad feeling. Chapter 3984. When Huamin received Zhao Qingya's call, she happened to be in the bathroom of the master bedroom of South Hill Manor. She had prepared a lot of new clothes for the second child, but baby things definitely couldn't be washed in a washing machine. Therefore, she secretly washed the clothes with her hands behind Qin Chu's back and tried to be a competent mother. Of course, Huamin was also absent-minded when she washed the clothes. She vaguely remembered that not long ago, Su Yu said that when the kid was born, he would give him a Lamborghini. At that time, Huamin said that it was useless to buy a Lamborghini at such a young age. It was more useful to buy a model. Now that she thought about it, Huamin regretted not having a good chat with Su Yu. Now that she didn't know where he was and whether he was dead or alive, her mood fell to the bottom again. When her phone rang, she glanced at the caller ID and hesitated for a moment. Because there was no caller ID, the caller ID was empty. This was a very strange thing in itself. If it was in the past, Huamin might have treated it as a scammer and ignored it. But it was different now. She wouldn't let go of any call because she had a feeling that there might be some clues about Su Yu's matter. As expected, perhaps it was because of her telepathy, Huamin quickly wiped her hands that were covered in foam. Then, she picked up the phone and said in a low voice, "Hello. Dr. Hua." It was a woman's voice on the other end. "You are? Do you want to hear Su Yu's voice?" Her voice was filled with mockery and contempt. Hearing Su Yu's name, Huamin's heart skipped a beat. "For you." Huamin's voice was even lower. "Don't worry about who I am. Su Yu is in our hands. Come, Lord Su, the great Lord Su, who is not afraid of anything, say something to your sweetheart." Zhao Qingya put the phone close to Su Yu's ear. Su Yu didn't say a word. "Su Yu, is that you? Is it really you? We're all looking for you. Where are you?" Huamin was very anxious and kept asking questions. Unfortunately, Su Yu only listened and didn't say anything. "Oh, why? Are you worried? Are you afraid that your sweetheart will come to save you?" Zhao Qingya raised her high heels and stepped on Su Yu's bleeding head. "Don't you miss your lover? After all, Huamin is so important to you." Su Yu raised his head and glared at Zhao Qingya. That look in his eyes was as if he wanted to tear her apart. "All right, since you're not saying anything, then I'll say it." Then, Zhao Qingya picked up the phone and put it to her ear. "Huamin, listen up. Su Yu is in my hands. If you don't want him to die, then do as I say and come alone. Don't call the police or tell anyone. Remember, come alone. If you dare to play any tricks, I'll immediately skin Su Yu alive and send the dismembered body back to you. Don't you like to do medical research the most? You can take his body to Southside as a human specimen." Zhao Qingya had really gone crazy. When she was talking to Huamin, she also went crazy. From asking Huamin to come alone to dismember Su Yu and turn him into a human specimen. Huamin was about to cry when he heard this. "Don't hurt Su Yu. I'm willing to do anything." Yes, Huamin only said one sentence. He said it very calmly. You're indeed loyal. Su Yu didn't love you for nothing. Su Yu, listen, your sweetheart said. Don't hurt Su Yu. I'm willing to do anything." Zhao Qingya imitated Huamin's tone and finally provoked Su Yu. "Zhao Qingya, fuck your ancestors," Su Yu cursed with bloodshot eyes. On the other end of the phone, Huamian finally confirmed that Su Yu was indeed in this person's hands. Wait, what name did she hear Su Yu say? Zhao Qingya. Chapter 3985. Before Huamin could react, Zhao Qingya took over the phone and continued speaking. "Huamin, don't try to play any tricks. If you dare to talk to anyone else, or inform your friends, or get your invincible sister, Su Yu will be dead. Don't play any tricks. If I can capture Su Yu so easily, I naturally have a way to know your whereabouts. Then how do I contact you, and how do I go to the place you mentioned?" Huamin asked hurriedly. "I'll call you again. Anyway, don't worry. I know when it's convenient for you to pick up the phone." Then, Zhao Qingya hung up. Huamin's heart turned cold. Zhao Qingya's last sentence was to know when it was convenient for her to pick up the phone. Did this mean that he was already under her surveillance? Thinking about it, it had been a day. She only received calls when she was in the bathroom. She didn't receive any calls when she was with Qin Chu. He was going to look into Zhao Qingya's background, but this woman didn't seem to be simple. In order not to let Su Yu get hurt, Huamin didn't dare to act rashly. After taking the call, she was no longer in the mood to continue washing clothes. Instead, she simply tidied up and went back to bed to rest, thinking about the whole incident. If Zhao Qingya kidnapped Su Yu, her motive was obvious. She wanted revenge. Huamin suddenly remembered what Lu Zhe said to him before he left. At that time, Lu Zhe should have known that Zhao Qingya would come back for revenge. Because they were both seeking revenge for Zhao Xia's death. Huamin lay flat on the bed and closed his eyes, trying to calm himself down. On the other side, after the call, Zhao Qingya looked at Su Yu with disdain. "Are you happy to see your old flame?" Su Yu glared at her and tried to stand up with all his might, but his body wouldn't listen to him. He swayed as if he was drunk. "What? You want to kill me? Why don't you take a look at yourself? You're as pathetic as a dog." Zhao Qingya kicked Su Yu in the abdomen, and he fell to the ground, unable to fight back. "Call the doctor over. Give him some simple treatment and send some food over," Zhao Qingya instructed before she left. Walking out of the wooden hut, she felt refreshed. "Miss Zhao, Mr. Y is looking for you," a subordinate reported. "Got it." Zhao Qingya nodded and walked toward the main building. On the chaise lounge in the main building, a middle-aged man in his 40s was lazily leaning on it. Beside him, there was a young girl wearing only underwear, giving him a massage. The scene could easily make one's imagination run wild. Zhao Qingya wasn't surprised to see this. When she walked in, Mr. Y was puffing away, enjoying the ultimate pleasure. Come, become an immortal with me." The man waved his hand. Zhao Qingya walked over obediently, lay on the bed, and took a deep breath of the smoke. A look of enjoyment immediately appeared on his face. "How is it? Is the food in Yunnan pure?" The man asked with a smile. "Not bad. It tastes good." Zhao Qingya nodded in satisfaction. "You've seen Su Yu? How is he?" "As pathetic as a dog. We can do whatever we want to him." "Did you call him?" "Yes." Huamin agreed? "Yes." "Very good. I'm actually curious why Master wants Huamin to come. Is Master interested in that bastard Huamin too?" Zhao Qingya was curious. "Master's business is none of our business. Just do your job well. When can Huamin get here?" "I think, within 3 days." Zhao Qingya was smug as she began to plot against Huamin. Chapter 3986. That night, Qin Chu practiced piano with the twins for a while downstairs. Mr. Qin had been spoiling them more and more lately. It seemed like he had even put work behind him. GK hadn't worked overtime for a long time. Even the employees said that the president was becoming more and more humane. The truth was, Qin Chu just wanted to spend more time with his wife, kids, and family. Career, money, power, all of these were endless. Only family was the most important. Of course, the older one got, the more they understood this. Huamin walked downstairs with a heavy heart and saw this heartwarming scene. Pudding was sitting on a high chair beside the piano with a microphone in her hand. Little Bean was sitting in Qin Chu's arms, playing the piano with her chubby fingers. The song she was playing was Huamin's favorite nursery rhyme. Little Sunday Little Bean played the piano while Pudding sang. It was a perfect match. Huamin saw from afar that Mr. Qin lowered his head with a happy smile on his face. She didn't have the heart to interrupt such a heartwarming scene. His grandparents were recording a short video. Huamin knew that ever since his in-laws became addicted to WeChat, they often posted on their WeChat moments. 9 out of 10 WeChat moments were about the twins. After the song ended, Pudding looked up and saw her mommy standing on the second floor. "Mommy!" she called out with a smile. Little Bean immediately turned her head and acted cute. "Mommy, did you hear that? How did my sister and I work together?" Huamin walked downstairs with a smile. It was great. Really? Little Bean looked like she didn't believe him. Really? You and your sister did really well. I think you guys can talk to your daddy and perform at our company's annual party at the end of the year. Little Bean rubbed her head against Chin Chu's chin like a spoiled child. Comrade Chin, what do you think of Dr. Hua's suggestion? Comrade Chin, I think it's a great suggestion. Chin Chu's face was full of love. Daddy, how much should we pay for our appearance? Little Bean asked wittily. There's an appearance fee? Chin Chu laughed involuntarily. Of course, but since you're our daddy, we can make it cheaper. Isn't that right, sister? When Little Bean was in a good mood, she would be very polite and call her sister. If he was angry, he would just call her Chin Zhao Zhao. Everyone in the family was used to the way the two children spoke. I'm fine with anything. Daddy, I'll give it to you, Pudding said coldly. You two brats. You're always thinking about how to scheme against us. Isn't our money going to be yours in the future? Huamin tried his best to maintain a smile on his face, looking no different from his usual self. Who said that? It used to be, but it's not anymore. After Qin Guogua came out, all the money is his. We should take as much as we can. Little Bean pouted. Huamin didn't know whether to laugh or cry when he heard Qin Guogua. Her son clearly had a very famous name, Qin Yuyao, but his two sisters always called him Qin Guogua. From the looks of it, he would definitely have to take the blame in the future. Mommy, it's Saturday tomorrow night. Let's watch a movie together. Oh, are there any good movies coming out recently? Huamin hadn't paid attention to these things for a long time, so she only asked when Pudding brought it up. Yeah, I heard that Disney released a really good animation. Before Pudding could finish, Little Bean interrupted her. Yeah, it's called Dream Chaser. I heard it's very good. The English teacher recommended it to our class the other day. Disney animation? Of course we have to watch it. Honey, are you free tomorrow? If you're not, I'll take them. Before Huamin could finish, Mr. Qin immediately answered. I'm free. But don't you have a lunch appointment with a client tomorrow afternoon? Huamin asked with a smile. Chapter 3987. We can change the time for dinner, but we must watch the movie with our daughters. Mr. Qin said this in a serious tone, as if he was making important decisions in a board meeting. Oh yeah, long live Daddy, long live Mommy. The two children's suggestion was accepted by their parents. In the adult's life, there were hundreds of things to do every day, and the children's matter was just one of the most trivial things. But in the children's world, this was their only thing. If the adults didn't agree, they would lose their plans and expectations for the next few days. Qin Chu was famous for spoiling his daughters. He had never scolded them, even if they made mistakes. Huamin was more strict. If Mr. Qin played the good cop, she could only play the bad cop. Therefore, she was stricter with the twins. But that didn't stop them from loving their mother. I'm a bit hungry. I'll ask Grandma Wu to make some food. Little Bean said and jumped down from her daddy's lap. The Grandma Wu she mentioned was the cook at South Hill Manor. She was the head chef and had 2 assistants. It's late. Grandma Wu is going to bed. What do you want to eat? Mommy will make it for you. Huamin stopped Little Bean and picked her up. Frightened, Mrs. Qin ran over from the sofa and carried Little Bean down. Little Bean, you can't let Mommy carry you. Mommy has a little brother in her belly. I know, Grandma. I didn't let Mommy carry me. Mommy carried me first. Little Bean looked wronged. Huamin pinched Little Bean's face lovingly and walked over to pat Pudding's head. Mommy is free tonight. You two can order whatever you want to eat. Little Bean tilted her head and thought for a moment before saying, Mommy, I want to eat your radish meatball soup. Yes. I want to eat egg pancakes too, Little Bean added. No problem. I'll make it now. You two wait here with Daddy. Honey, I'll help you. Qin Chu got up to follow Huamin to the kitchen, but she pushed him out. I really don't need you. It's very simple. Hubby, just wait for me. I'll make more for Mom and Dad to eat. After that, Huamin went into the kitchen alone. Mommy seems to be in a good mood tonight. She actually made a supper. Little Bean knew that radish meatball soup wasn't easy to make. Mommy hadn't made it for a long time. Yeah, Mommy looks a little different tonight. Pudding seemed to have sensed something as well. Maybe she just wants to do something for us. Xianxia guessed. After supper, Mama Qin and Mr. Qin took the two kids to the hot spring at the back of the house. They wanted to give the kids some time to digest their food. Xianxia saw that Huamin's feet were a little swollen, so he let her sit on the big bed in the bedroom and gave her a massage. Mian, you seem to have something on your mind tonight. I'm very happy tonight. I like to spend time with my family like this. Is there really nothing? Xianxia obviously didn't believe her. After being together for so long, he could see some subtle changes. Huamin hugged Mr. Qin's head and began to act cute. I'm actually a little ashamed. I've been busy at the hospital for the past few years and haven't really spent much time with you and the kids. Do you blame me? What are you talking about, silly? When have I ever blamed you? Mr. Qin's tone was very gentle. I have less and less time with you guys in the future. Huamin asked tentatively. Why does it sound like a farewell speech? Mr. Qin frowned slightly. Chapter 3988. Of course not. Huamin smiled and didn't say anything else. By the time the couple went to bed, it was already very late. Xianxia turned off the bedside lamp and realized that Huamin had already turned her face away. With her back to him, under normal circumstances, Huamin wouldn't turn her back to him unless she was angry, in a bad mood, or asleep. He knew that Huamin was in a bad mood. Xianxia gently hugged Huamin from behind, giving her some warmth. Honey, my belly is big now, and I'm tired of sleeping on one side. So tonight I'm going to lie here. You won't be mad, right? Huamin's voice was very quiet, and Xianxia couldn't tell what she was feeling. I won't. You can lie down however you feel comfortable. Xianxia didn't expose his wife, and the two fell into silence. After another 5 minutes, Xianxia stood behind her and said softly, Mian, I promise you that I'll do everything I can to find Suyu. We'll find him. Huamin only responded with a simple but she had mixed feelings. So many things had happened between her and Mr. Qin, and they finally had a happy family. She really didn't want any more misunderstandings between them. Last time, when she was kidnapped by Wuxia and taken to a deserted island, Xianxia almost died. Huamin had been holding a grudge against him for a long time. If she left without saying anything this time, and most likely didn't come back alive, then what would her husband do? What would her twin daughters do? Huamin fell into the most difficult and painful moment in her life. She had to save Suyu, but she didn't want to lose her husband and children. So, she had to take a risk and save Suyu safely. She had to escape unscathed. But that didn't seem possible. Huamin went into the tiger's den alone and was already in grave danger. It was a joke to think that he could protect her and Suyu. After all, she wasn't Lu Yan. She was just an ordinary person without any cheats. But Huamin still didn't say anything. The next morning, after the couple had breakfast, they went to the company together and brought the children along. Mrs. Qin had promised the twins that they would watch a movie at noon, and she dressed her granddaughters very nicely. Inside, they wore white sweaters with strawberries. Outside, they wore a half-length red cloak, like a little queen. Xianxia's office was bustling with activity. Assistant Yang made 3 cups of hot milk, and gave 3 to the twins and Huamin. After drinking the milk, she says, Hubby, I'm going to the restaurant to take a look. I'll make something for us to eat first, and then we'll eat earlier. After eating, we can go to the movies. I bought tickets to the VIP theater at 12:40 p.m. Okay, be careful. Since Huamin didn't leave the building, Xianxia wasn't that worried. But even when she went to the restaurant, Huamin was still followed by 2 tall bodyguards. They were with her at all times. Even when she went to the ladies' room, there were female bodyguards with her. It was obvious how careful Xianxia was to protect her and the kids. After entering the restaurant, Huamin turned around and said, I'll go over there and tell them. You can sit here. Madam. The restaurant was very clear, so the bodyguards didn't think much of it. After sending the bodyguards away, Huamin walked slowly to the kitchen. Madam. The chefs in the kitchen were very respectful when they saw Huamin. Please prepare lunch for our family of 4 in advance. We're going out in a while. Okay, madam. What do you want to eat? The head chef asked respectfully. Just then Huamin's phone rang. She raised her hand and gestured for them to be quiet. Then she turned and walked into a small storage room in the kitchen. Those people were really good at picking the time. They knew it was convenient for her to answer the phone. Huamin lowered her voice. Chapter 3989. Huamin, you must come to us in 3 days. Otherwise, Suyu will be dead. Zhao Qingya's tone was extremely arrogant. I want to talk to Suyu. What right do you have? How would I know if he's already been killed by you? Anyway, I want you to find a way to let me talk to Suyu once a day. Otherwise, I won't agree to anything you say. Huamin's brain worked quickly. He immediately took the initiative and trapped Zhao Qingya. She remembered that Mr. Y had told her that the master wanted Huamin to go. Zhao Qingya didn't dare to hesitate and only said, Okay, I'll let you talk now. A minute later, there was a faint panting sound. Huamin's heart ached when he heard it. Suyu, are you okay? Huamin asked anxiously. Please don't come. Suyu's body seemed very weak. His voice was weak and feeble. However, it couldn't stop his determination. He was rarely so cowardly. He was afraid that Huamin would die for him. He didn't care about his own life, but Huamin couldn't. He couldn't let Huamin die for him. Suyu, don't be afraid. Hang in there. I'll definitely save you. Don't come, please. Huamin, don't come. Suyu's voice was choked with sobs. He cried. Yes, he cried helplessly. He didn't want Huamin to come, but he knew that with Huamin's temper, he would definitely come. It was because he had seen through everything that he felt even more painful. So, Suyu cried, What are you talking about? We'll all be fine. Pudding and Little Bean will wait for your safe return and take them to Disneyland in Japan. All right, I've said what I wanted to say. Now it's time to follow my instructions, right? All right, tell me the place. I'll be there on time. Do you think we're idiots? If we give you the place directly, you'll bring your men here and wipe us out. Listen, I'll send you the address before tomorrow night. When the time comes, go to the place we told you. Our men will take you away. Remember, don't play any tricks. After repeated warnings, Zhao Qingya hung up. Huamin's heart was in turmoil again. She was stunned for a minute. Then she licked her lips and walked out with a pale face. Thank you for your hard work, everyone. Just make something, 1 meat and 1 vegetable. The 2 children love to eat fried chicken, but I rarely let them eat it. Today, I'll make it for them. Yes, madam. I will do as you say. On his way back from the restaurant, Huamin's cell phone rang. It was from Han Yueyao. She had been so busy these days that she even forgot about Han Yueyao's live stream. Yao, what's up? Sister Mion, I advanced again today. The finals are next week and there are only 3 teams left. It doesn't matter if we win the championship or not. I'm satisfied that I've made it this far. Han Yueyao sounded happy. Congratulations. Thank you, Sister Mion. When I get back, I'll treat you and President Su to dinner. By the way, I haven't seen President Su in the company these days. He didn't reply to my WeChat messages. Why can't I reach him? Do you know what happened? Finally, Han Yueyao couldn't help but call Huamin. Su went on a long trip, Huamin said. Went on a long trip? But why didn't he tell us? We don't seem to know. Even if he went out, he would have taken his cell phone with him. Sister Mion, what's wrong with President Su? Did our company have a debt dispute recently? Did he run away? Han Yueyao's imagination ran wild. Chapter 3990. No, there's no debt, Huamin answered calmly. Oh, that's good. I thought President Su was in trouble. Han Yueyao trusted Huamin, so when she heard that Suyu was fine, she heaved a sigh of relief. Taking Han Yueyao's call, Huamin walked into Qin Chu's office. The 2 kids were playing games while Qin Chu was working. Everything looked normal. Mommy, what did you tell the kitchen to make? Little Bean was always interested in food. Just a few. I didn't order anything. I thought I'd have a big meal. Little Bean was obviously disappointed. Min shook his head helplessly. He walked over and picked Little Bean up, placing her on his lap. Grandma said I can't let Mommy carry me. Little Bean obviously cared about this. Little Bean was afraid of hurting her mother and the baby in her belly. It's okay. This doesn't count as caring. Little Bean, you're still young. You'll have plenty of opportunities to eat in the future. You can't be overweight. Mommy's a doctor and you have to listen to me. Once you're overweight, you'll get sick. Mommy doesn't want you to get sick. Do you understand? Yes, Mommy. Little Bean was very obedient. Min rubbed Little Bean's head lovingly and gently put her down on the ground. Then he glanced at Little Bean. Come to Mommy. Little Bean put down the tablet in her hand and walked over obediently. Little Bean, you're the older sister, so you take good care of your younger sister. But we don't want you to be biased just because you're older than your younger sister. Mommy, Daddy, and Grandma love you the same. So, you must remember that no matter how smart and mature you are, you'll always be a child in Mommy's eyes. Then Min kissed Little Bean's forehead affectionately. Not far away, Chin Chu's typing hand paused for a few seconds. He did not look in their direction, but he heard every word that Min and the child said. Just now? Yes, just now when Min said he was going to the restaurant. The system monitoring Min's phone showed that it had been disrupted for more than a minute. He couldn't find out who was calling, nor could he trace the location. All he knew was that Min had received a mysterious call. From last night until today, Min's mood was vaguely abnormal. She tried her best to hide this abnormality. If it was someone else, she might be able to fool them. However, Chin Chu had been with her for so many years, so he naturally understood her temperament. However, Min didn't say anything, and Chin Chu didn't ask, because he knew that if it was something that Min didn't tell him, it would be very difficult. It must have been very difficult for him to talk about it. He definitely wasn't hiding it on purpose. At the moment, the only thing that could make Min so worried was probably Su Yu's matter. Chin Chu guessed that Huasiqian had kidnapped Su Yu. Was he using Su Yu to threaten Mian? Half an hour later, the company's cafeteria delivered 4 servings of food. Although Min said that 1 meat and 1 vegetable would be enough, the chefs in the kitchen still prepared a sumptuous lunch for the pregnant young lady and the children. Stir-fried okra, stir-fried broccoli with meat, sweet and sour pork ribs, steamed turbot, braised prawns, bitter gourd fried eggs, 3 meat and 3 vegetable dishes. It was very nutritious. They even made a large bowl of West Lake beef soup to replace the soup. It was especially delicious. Perhaps it was the first time that the twins ate in their daddy's office, but they ate even more enthusiastically than usual. Chin Chu and Min sat beside the 2 children, constantly wiping their mouths and putting food on their plates. Mr. Chin barely ate as he peeled prawns for his daughter and wife. His hands were covered in grease, but as a clean freak, he didn't mind at all. Daddy, our company's chef cooks really well. I want to come here more often, okay? Little Bean asked. Chapter 3991. Okay, no problem. Chin Chu smiled happily, knowing that Little Bean had always been a child who was easily satisfied with food. Sis, what do you think? Little Bean glanced at pudding. It's delicious, but it's not as good as Mommy's and Grandma's. But, Chin Zhao Zhao, you're amazing. You actually learned my skill, flattery. Little Bean laughed so hard that she spat out rice. Pudding. Chin Chu and Min were also amused. It was the first time the family had lunch in the office, and they ate very harmoniously. After lunch, Chin Chu drove the family of 4 to a nearby movie theater. There weren't many seats in the VIP theater. The family of 4 chose a seat in the middle. Mommy, no. Before Little Bean could finish, Min interrupted her. You don't even know what I'm talking about. Humph, that's not fair. Little Bean pouted. I know. You want popcorn and Coke. Min certainly knew his daughter. Little Bean nodded vigorously and continued to flatter. Mommy, let's just buy a small bucket of popcorn for the 4 of us, okay? Seeing that Huamin didn't say anything, Little Bean looked at Chinchu again. Daddy, please, it's no use begging me. Your mommy has the final say. Sis, do you want some too? Little Bean placed her hopes on Pudding. I really can't eat anymore. I'm already full. Pudding mercilessly rejected her. In the end, Huamin couldn't bear it and asked Chinchu to go out and buy a bucket of popcorn for Little Bean. But Coke refused. She was so young and didn't have enough calcium. How could he let her lose calcium too quickly? Dream-Seeking Ring was a story about the relationship between one's loved ones. The family of 4 watched the original English soundtrack, but it was more immersive. In the end, the mother and daughters cried until their eyes were red. When he walked out of the theater, he found it hard to calm down. Death can't separate us. Forgetting is. Huamin muttered his understanding of the movie. When Chinchu heard this, he felt very uncomfortable. He put his arm around Huamin's shoulder and comforted him gently. There is no death, no separation, and no forgetting. I will always be by your side. Huamin didn't say anything, but he didn't feel good. After watching the movie, it was already 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Looking at the 2 children, she felt slightly sleepy. Huamin discussed with Chinchu, "Hubby, I want to go to my mother's place to take a look. I can also bring the children there." Then Chinchu hesitated. Huamin knew that Chinchu was talking about Uncle Jing, who had come back from the dead and acted strangely. Ever since Uncle Jing came back, Huamin rarely went back and never brought the children back. He was afraid that it was a ticking time bomb that could explode at any moment. It's okay. We'll leave after seeing Mom. I won't stay long. Also, I'll have the bodyguards follow us. Okay, be careful. Okay. Huamin took the children and was escorted to Sky Blessing Court by the bodyguards. When Chinchu returned to his office, he called Gao Ran. Find the address of this signal source for me. Chinchu sent Gao Ran a string of garbled code. What's this? A mysterious phone call. It was carefully processed by hackers. It can't be eavesdropped or tracked. I can only find this bunch of signal sources. I tried to decode it, but I couldn't. The structure is a bit complicated. Hacking skills? You should ask your wife. Your wife is better than the hackers in our city bureau. Gao Ran laughed. I'm asking you because I can't let Mian know about this. Chinchu's voice was still calm. Chapter 3992. What the hell are you 2 doing? Are you kidding me? Gao Ran didn't quite understand. Chinchu loved his wife so much that he rarely hid things from her. But why? I'll tell you the details later. You can check it out first. Okay. After hanging up, Chinchu was still worried. After Su Yu disappeared, the atmosphere seemed to have changed. Huamin became a little distracted. Chinchu never doubted that Huamin had any personal feelings for him. However, he knew that Huamin was greatly indebted to the Su family. Su Yu had done everything he could for Huamin in the past few years. Huamin was a person who didn't say it out loud, but he was very grateful. If Su Yu's life was really in danger because of her, it would be a shackle for her for the rest of her life. What she needed to figure out now was who called Huamin. On the other side, Huamin brought the 2 children back to Sky Blessing Court. Yang Meirong hadn't seen the twins for a long time. She was very happy to see Huamin bring the children back. She introduced them to Jingda. Jingda was also confused when he saw the children. Pudding, Little Bean, hurry up and call him Grandpa. This isn't my grandpa. I have a grandpa who's a great scientist. Little Bean was straightforward and directly exposed her grandpa. Little Bean, what nonsense are you talking about? Huamin quickly walked over and grabbed Little Bean's shoulders. This child, what are you talking about? What scientist grandpa? Yang Meirong was also confused. Huamin quickly tried to smooth things over and said with a smile, Mom, Little Bean is talking about the people in the movies. Last year, there was a Marvel movie called Doctor Strange, right? Little Bean likes that grandpa very much, so she always calls him Grandpa Scientist because he has special powers and can cast spells. No, Little Bean was about to continue when Pudding covered her mouth and pulled her away. Sister, come, have a piece of chocolate. Pudding picked up a piece of chocolate from the fruit tray in the living room and stuffed it into Little Bean's mouth. Only then did she stop her little mouth. You haven't met them yet, have you? I was going to take you to South Hill Manor to see my 2 granddaughters after you got used to it. They're my precious babies. Pudding and Little Bean are twins. Our daughter, Mian, gave birth to them 4 years ago. They're really cute. Yang Merong really loved her granddaughter, so she couldn't wait to introduce her to Jingde. Huamin paid special attention to Jingde's subtle expression and found that Jingde seemed to have no feelings for the 2 children. However, she pretended to be very affectionate. Is that so? He's already so big. The child is so cute, just like his mother. We're prettier than Mommy, Little Bean protested. Stop talking and eat your chocolate. Pudding quickly covered her sister's mouth. My Little Bean, you're so sharp-tongued. You're amazing. Yang Merong didn't mind and laughed. Jingde's smile was a bit forced and even guilty. Mom, come with me. I have some family matters to discuss with you. Did you have a fight with Chu? No. Come with me. Huamin pulled his mother upstairs, leaving Jingde and the 2 children in the living room. Little Bean ate happily. She turned on the TV and watched Animal World. She was very engrossed in watching poisonous snakes. Pudding played with her cell phone. Jingde didn't seem to know what to do. He just sat on the sofa, his eyes dull. Pudding glanced at the man and said, Grandpa, didn't you die in a car accident? How come you're alive? Pudding had seen Jingde's picture in Sky Blessing Court before, and she knew that the picture was of Jingde's deceased master. However, it seemed that he was still alive. Chapter 3993. Jingde was surprised that such a young child would ask such a difficult question. His body stiffened. To be honest, he was afraid that someone would ask him about Jingde. Even though he wanted to be Jingde now. It's a complicated process. You're a child and won't understand. Jingde was about to brush Pudding off with this, but to his surprise, Little Bean, who was watching TV, interrupted, Don't treat my sister as a child. She's a prodigy in the stock market. She has over 100 million yuan in her bank account, which is more than an ordinary person can earn in a lifetime. She's very smart and so am I, Grandpa. Don't listen to my sister. I'm just curious. It's okay if you don't want to tell me. Pudding was good at hiding a dagger in her smile. When she smiled, her eyes seemed to be able to see through people. Jingde felt guilty again. In fact, it's a bit dangerous. Jingde told the 2 kids what he had told the others. Of course, he made it simple. Meanwhile, Huamin was in the room upstairs with his mother. What's the matter? Mian, don't be so secretive. Don't hide it from your Uncle Jing. He's not an outsider. It was obvious that her mother trusted Uncle Jing. She felt like she had returned to the old days of surprise and excitement. Sure enough, old people were easy to fool. Mom, let's not talk about Uncle Jing today. I have something for you. Huamin took out a craft envelope and handed it to her mother. What's this? Open it and see. Huamin said with a smile. Yang Merong opened the envelope and saw a bank card and a jade bracelet inside. You're giving me money again. I don't need it. Her mother was angry. Her daughter had been so good to her that she couldn't be a mother who only cared about money. Of course, Jixin and Bella are very filial, but as your daughter, I have to be filial to you as well. I asked someone to pick out the bracelet and I wanted to give it to you on your birthday this year, but I can't wait any longer, so I gave it to you in advance. Don't think I'm too impatient. You're buying such expensive things again. It must be very expensive, right? Looking at the quality of the white jade, Yang Meirong knew that it was expensive. Even though she didn't know much about antiques, Yang Meirong knew that her daughter wouldn't buy cheap ones. It's not expensive at all. I saw it and think it suits you very well. As he spoke, Huamin hugged his mother's shoulders and began to act like a spoiled child. Mom, let me put it on for you. Huamin took the jade bracelet and put it on his mother's wrist. He felt a little comforted in his heart. Pretty, right? Pretty, but expensive. Don't buy it in the future. Yang Meirong's nagging came back again. Huamin smiled but didn't say anything. After acting like a spoiled child with his mother for a while, Huamin left Sky Blessing Court with the two kids. On the way, in the RV, Huamin looked at Pudding and asked, "Pudding, do you like this grandpa?" "Why not?" "Because I think he's weird, but I can't tell exactly why." "I like the grandpa in the States more," said Pudding. Me too. I miss grandpa so much. I miss Auntie. Mommy too." Speaking of grandpa, they thought of Auntie. Their hearts almost flew out of their bodies. "I miss your auntie and grandpa too." Huamin's voice was very calm. "Then can we give them a call? Strike while the iron is hot, right now?" Little Bean bared her teeth and suggested. If it were in the past, Huamin wouldn't agree. But now, she didn't have much time left. Chapter 3994. Let's make a call now. Huamin no longer worried about his father's work and Lu Yan's influence. Picking up his cell phone, Huamin was a bit excited. He called his father first. The phone rang twice before it was hung up. Disappointed, Huamin put down his cell phone, thinking that his father was probably busy in the lab. "Mommy, what's wrong? Is Grandpa not answering the phone?" Little Bean looked up and asked innocently. "Grandpa is probably busy." The moment Huamin said this, his cell phone rang. Looking at the string of garbled numbers, Huamin picked up the phone excitedly. "Hello. Mian." Hearing Professor Lu's old voice calling her name, Huamin was excited again. "Daddy." She choked. "Mommy, calm down. Talk to Grandpa." She put her little hand on her mother's knee and comforted her. "Mian, you rarely call me. Did something happen?" No matter how far away he was from his daughter, he missed her dearly. No. I just haven't talked to you in a long time. I miss you. Did I disturb you?" "No. It's just a phone call. It's not that serious." Professor Lu wouldn't tell his daughter that calling her would expose his whereabouts. To him, talking to his daughter was more important than anything else. "Daddy, how have you been?" Good, Professor Lu said. "How are you?" "Very good. There's nothing wrong with you. I'm a doctor. Don't forget." Professor Lu's voice had a hint of a smile. "Daddy, you must take care of yourself. The weather in the U.S. is unpredictable. You need to wear more clothes. Daddy, what do you like to eat from your hometown? I'll send it to you." "It's okay. I'll eat it when I'm free." "By the way, Daddy, can you talk to the twins? They miss you very much." Huamin was so excited that he almost forgot that the twins also wanted to talk to their grandpa. Of course. At the mention of his two grandsons, Professor Lu's heart warmed. "Sis, you go first." Little Bean actually knew how to be humble. Later, Huamin realized that Little Bean wasn't insensible. She knew how to be humble when it came to important matters. She wouldn't bully her sister just because she was young. Pudding was a little shy. She took the phone and called out sweetly, "Grandpa." "Pudding." "Grandpa, how do you know I'm not Little Bean?" "Your voices are very recognizable. I haven't gone senile yet." Professor Lu laughed. "Grandpa, I miss you so much. You have to take care of yourself." "Okay, Grandpa will listen to you. Pudding has made a lot of money in the stock market recently." "Grandpa, you've been paying attention to the domestic stock market?" Pudding was a little excited. "Well, keep an eye on Wanhong Technology. There will be a surprise. I heard that Wanhong Technology's chairman ran away on suspicion of fraud. Could it be that they're going to reorganize?" Pudding mumbled to herself. Professor Lu smiled and didn't say anything. Seeing that it was almost time, Huamin whispered, "Pudding, say something to your sister." Pudding reluctantly took off the phone and handed it to Little Bean. "Grandpa, I miss you so much." Little Bean's voice was loud and clear. Maybe it was because she was fat, but she was full of confidence. Huamin laughed out loud. "Oh my, this small movement is so bright. Little Bean, have you been doing any experiments recently?" "No, Mommy doesn't let me touch chemicals. She says they're poisonous or will explode." Little Bean pouted and complained. "Your mommy is too careful. When your auntie was your age, she could already make more than 10 kinds of simple explosives." Professor Lu laughed. Chapter 3995. Really? Grandpa, tell me about Auntie's childhood. Little Bean was excited to hear her grandpa talk about her auntie's childhood. But Huamin couldn't wait any longer and reminded her, Little Bean, it's about time. Say goodbye to Grandpa. So soon? But I haven't said enough. She was a kid after all and didn't care about the safety of adults. Huamin's eyes turned serious. Little Bean immediately said into the phone, Goodbye, Grandpa. Take care of yourself. Then she returned the phone to her mother. Huamin picked up the phone and said goodbye to his father. Dad, you and Yen must be well. Take care of yourself. Kiddo, are you okay? Are you in trouble? No, I just miss you. Okay, I won't take up any more of your time. Goodbye, Okay, goodbye. Just like that, Huamian hung up the phone, feeling a sense of loss. She didn't dare to tell her father too much. Her father was so smart that he might sense something. Mommy, Auntie is so awesome. Grandpa said that when she was my age, she could already make simple explosives. Little Bean's eyes were full of admiration. Auntie was forced to do that. We can't learn from her. Huamin didn't think his sister was that awesome. He just felt sorry for her. Other 3-year-old children would be spoiled in their parents' arms, watching cartoons, playing with toys, Barbie dolls, and princess dresses. Lu Yen, on the other hand, had to learn how to protect herself from being hunted down again and again. Huamin didn't want Lu Yen to live such a life. Even though she was the queen of the mercenary world, a mythical figure that even the Interpol and the FBI couldn't catch. But Huamin only wanted her to be an ordinary girl, his most ordinary sister, Lu Yen. He didn't want her to be rich or powerful. He just wanted her to be safe. Mommy, should I call Auntie again? Forget it. Huamin thought Lu Yen was a master hacker. If he called her, she might notice something. If those people detected his connection with Lu Yen, Su Yu would be in danger. Xianxia had always emphasized that she couldn't tell anyone. Judging from her confident tone, she must have some way to keep an eye on him. Dad should be fine. After all, he was protected by a group of special people. No matter how powerful Xianxia was, she wouldn't be able to kill Dad, right? For a moment, Huamin's mind was in a mess. The two children did not notice that something was wrong with their mother. With Grandpa's reminder, Pudding immediately turned on her phone and started manipulating the stocks. To observe the direction of Wanhong technology, Little Bean picked up her phone and started playing a game. GK headquarters, while Qin Chu was in the meeting room, his phone rang. After looking down at the number, Qin Chu stood up. Sorry, the meeting is over. Then, Qin Chu walked out of the conference room and picked up the phone. Dad. It was rare for Huamin's father, Professor Lu, to call Qin Chu in person. When Professor Lu called, the number was similar to the one Lu Yen used every time. Qin Chu glanced at it and guessed it. Son, have you and Mian encountered any problems recently? Professor Lu asked directly. Why do you say that, Dad? Mian called me today. I thought it was strange. She rarely calls me. I guess she had something on her mind, but she didn't say anything in the end. After 5 seconds of silence, Qin Chu said slowly, Dad, we did encounter a problem. Someone hacked into Mian's phone and talked to her secretly. I can't crack it. I've asked a top hacker from the Municipal Public Security Bureau, but they couldn't crack it. The other party is a player, a top hacker. Do you have the code? Send it to me, the professor said seriously. Chapter 3996. Yes, I'll send it to you right away. With the professor's permission, Qin Chu immediately sent the code to Professor Lu's convenient number for him to receive messages. In 3 minutes, Professor Lu cracked the code that even the hackers of the Municipal Public Security Bureau and a master like Qin Chu couldn't solve. Then, Professor Lu sent the decrypted recordings to Qin Chu. There were 2 conversations in total. After hearing the conversation, Qin Chu's expression turned grim. Sure enough, it had something to do with Suyu. But that Xianxia, if Professor Lu hadn't mentioned her, Qin Chu wouldn't have remembered her. Qin Chu never paid attention to the entertainment industry or any female celebrities, so he wasn't familiar with Xianxia. After listening to the recording, he immediately sent a WeChat message to Gao Ran and asked for all the information about Xianxia. Then, Professor Lu called him again. "Dad," Qin Chu said respectfully. "Chu, did you listen to the recording? Su Yu was kidnapped. Those people threatened Mian. Obviously, kidnapping Su Yu was just a bait. Their target is Mian." Qin Chu completely agreed with the professor. Those people didn't kidnap Mian to extort money. Otherwise, they could have asked Su Yu's family for it. So, I think they kidnapped Mian because of me or Yen. Dad, we can't make a conclusion yet. It's just a guess. I'm almost certain that their purpose is not pure. The person who wrote this code is very powerful. That group isn't simple. They're not ordinary kidnappers. Yes. Now that we know the truth, can you think of a way to stop Mian from going? This trip will be very dangerous. Dad, it can't stop her. Qin Chu's tone was calm. Do you have the heart to let her be a suspect? She's about to give birth. The professor seemed a little angry. It's not that I don't want to, but Su Yu and I are indebted to the Su family, and Su Yu is very important to Mian. Anyways, if something happens to Su Yu because of me, she'll never forgive me. Qin Chu knew Huamin too well, so he didn't dare to stop her. I can ask Yen to save Su Yu. I can use this set of codes to locate those people. Also, we can find someone to disguise as Mian. It's too risky. As you said, these people are very powerful. If they can find a top-level hacker to stop me from checking Mian's call records, I don't think I can fool them with a few words. You probably don't know that Mian's stepfather, Jingde, who died in a car accident many years ago, has come back from the dead. What? Hearing that Jingde came back alive, the professor was shocked. He was familiar with Jingde. When his daughter was swapped, he had a lot to do with Dr. Lan in Dongtao Town. Later, he raised Huamin for many years and was the husband of Mian's adoptive mother, so the professor didn't do anything to him. Later, Jingde died in a car accident because of a scheme. That was the truth. Now, he came back from the dead. Even if others believed it, the professor wouldn't believe it. As a scientist and a medical genius, he knew the human body too well. Resurrection from the dead? That was nonsense. The current medical science, and even in the next few decades, would not be able to reach that level. It was an impossible topic. Jingde came back from the dead, Qin Chu repeated. Did you check it? Didn't he use a disguise or plastic surgery? The professor was incredulous. Dad, Mian took his hair and did a DNA test. After comparison, he's Jixin, Mian's younger brother. There's no doubt that he's father. But the professor's phone slipped from his hand. He was shocked. Chapter 3997. Dad, are you okay? Qin Chu was worried when he heard Lu Zhou's strange behavior. Did she come back? Impossible. How is that possible? It can't be her. She's back. She'll come find me. Professor Lu seemed to be mentally ill as he kept repeating the same sentence. Qin Chu couldn't hear clearly over the phone, but he heard Huasiqian mutter about her. Who was that her? 10 seconds later, the call ended. The professor didn't call again, and Qin Chu didn't call back either. Not long after she hung up the phone, she received the information that Gao Ran had compiled. It was about Xianxia, or at least Xianxia's past a few years. Before she debuted, which high school she was in, what she did, and who she dated. Later, he signed with Imperial Star and became famous. He had come into contact with many big shots, tycoons and directors. Later, when she failed to frame Huamian and was sent to prison, her sister died tragically in Su Yu's home. Later, Lu Zhe came back to avenge Xiaoqingya's sister and tried to frame Su Yu again. Later, according to the information, Xiaoqingya was suddenly infected with tuberculosis in prison and was released on bail. At this point, Gao Ran's information stopped. It seemed that Xiaoqingya went abroad. Now that he knew she was in the United States, it was easy. Qin Chu picked up his phone and immediately contacted Rick. He asked Rick to find out who this woman was with in the United States. In a primitive jungle in Yunnan, after Su Yu's head was blown up, the doctor gave him a simple treatment. Maybe because he was in good health, he recovered well. Xianxia didn't come again, but she brought him food and water every day. The drugs in Su Yu's body gradually disappeared. He closed his eyes and had a plan in his head. Yes, he was going to break out of prison. Then he quietly hid the disposable chopsticks he used before in his cuff. When it was time for dinner, the person who delivered the food opened the door and saw Su Yu lying on the ground. Time to eat. Su Yu didn't move. His back was to the person. Hey, time to eat. Su Yu still didn't move. The man walked over and kicked Su Yu angrily. However, before the kick could reach him, Su Yu grabbed his ankle. Just as the man was about to scream, Su Yu's hand was even faster. The chopsticks pierced through the man's neck. That person's eyes were wide open. Then he fell to the ground with a loud thud. Then Su Yu pulled out the gun at his waist and rushed out. He had observed for the past few days. There were only 4 people at the door. As long as he killed these 4 people, he would jump out of the bamboo forest and run into the depths of the forest. It would not be easy for him to be caught. However, he did not expect to be surrounded by more than a dozen people with submachine guns as soon as he stepped out of the door. Su Yu was stunned. "Put down your pistols," one of them said. Su Yu was helpless. He could only carefully put the pistol on the ground. After all, as long as he was not careful, he might be shot into a beehive. "Su Yu, I've heard a lot about you." The person who walked out from behind the dozen people was Mr. Y. His hairstyle was very strange. He had a braid on his head. He was unshaven and slovenly. He looked like an artist. He was dressed in a suit and leather shoes. "You are?" Su Yu had never seen Mr. Y before, so he was a little confused. I actually want to thank you. It was because of your actions that I had the chance to get Xiaoya." Su Yu finally understood that the Xiaoya he was talking about was Xianxia. Was she the crazy fan that bailed her out of the country? Chapter 3998. "Oh, you're that bitch Xianxia's sugar daddy." Su Yu smiled contemptuously. As soon as he finished speaking, he was punched in the stomach by one of his men who was closest to him. Su Yu bent down slightly in pain, but he didn't kneel down. He was holding on. "Don't be so quick with your words. You're the one who'll suffer." Mr. Y smiled. "You captured me to avenge her. If you're a man, hurry up. I'm in a hurry to be reincarnated." Su Yu's temper was on full display. He wanted to anger these people as soon as possible. If they killed him, Mian might not come back. Otherwise, both he and Mian might die. That wasn't what Su Yu wanted. Again, he could die, anyone could die, but Mian couldn't die. This obsession was deeply rooted in his heart and couldn't be replaced. "I know you're not afraid of death. Su Yu, your weakness is too obvious. What you're afraid of is Min's death. If you dare to touch her, I won't let you go. You know my background, right? My grandfather's entire army will bomb you to ashes. Do you think I'll be afraid of you if you tell me all this? I knew who you were when I captured you. The Su family, a military family. You're only a little powerful in China, but overseas. Do you think anyone will be afraid of you? You're just a mob." Mr. Y's tone was frivolous, completely disregarding Su Yu's background. Su Yu suddenly felt that things weren't that simple. Xianxia probably didn't just set this up because she hated him and Min. He felt like there was a story behind this that he didn't know. "Even if you're not afraid of the Su family, do you know who Min is?" Su Yu asked tentatively. Mr. Y's smile deepened. "Are you testing me?" Su Yu didn't say anything. He just stared at this strange pervert. Mr. Y smiled, picked up a Cuban cigar, lit it and continued, "There's no harm in telling you. Catching you wasn't our ultimate goal." When Su Yu heard this, it seemed that his guess was right. "As for why we captured Min, of course I know who she is. I know better than anyone else. You don't have to worry about that. Actually, you should be grateful to us, because we allowed you to see Min one last time before you die. Isn't this fulfilling your wish? It's time for you to pay for what you did to Xiaoya." After that, Mr. Y raised his hand and fired 2 shots at Su Yu's shoulder. They all hit his collarbone. The pain caused him to subconsciously lean back and fall to the ground, Drag him in and watch him carefully. If anything happens again, I'll kill all of you as well, Mr. Y ordered. Yes, boss. Boss, should we call the doctor to take out the bullet? One of the confused subordinates asked. Mr. Y's face darkened. It's fine. It's not a fatal wound anyway. He won't die so quickly. It's good to let him suffer a little. Su Yu's escape plan failed, and he was shot twice in his collarbone. Every time he moved, his entire body would hurt. This time, no doctor came to remove the bullet. He knew that those people's ultimate goal was to use him as bait. They would lure Huamin here so that he could die. Me, don't come. I'd rather not see you one last time before I die. I hope that you never come. Su Yu lay in the cabin in despair, squandering the little time he had left. Chapter 3999. To Huamin's surprise, she didn't receive a call from Xianxia. Instead, she received a short video. In the video, Su Yu was shot twice in the collarbone area, but the shooter couldn't be seen. Xianxia's voice was added to the video. Huamin, you bitch, you're such a liar. How dare you investigate us to the States? Ha, this is a lesson for you. Remember, you're the only one here. If you continue to play with us, you'll have to collect Su Yu's body. Huamin's heart almost stopped the moment she saw Su Yu fall to the ground. She calmed down and tried to analyze Xianxia's words. She didn't investigate Xianxia or the States. Could it be? Huamin didn't say anything, but she had a lot on her mind the entire night. She couldn't stay calm after seeing Su Yu get shot in the video. She wanted to find him right now and save him. Huamin had lost her usual calmness and rationality. As expected, once a person crossed a line, they wouldn't be fearless in the face of danger. After all, everyone only had one life. If Su Yu died, it would be too late. After the twins went home, they showered and went to bed early. They were a bit tired after playing all day. Huamin sat in the bedroom, waiting for Qin Chu to come back. Qin Chu came back at almost 7. As soon as he entered the bedroom, Huamin stood up. Honey, are the kids asleep? Yeah, they're tired. Are you tired? If you're tired, you should go to bed. Qin Chu seemed to be the same as usual. Honey, I need to talk to you. Okay. Qin Chu took off his jacket and hung it on the hanger. Then, he turned around and loosened the tie on his shirt. What's the matter? Why are you so serious? Qin Chu walked over, cupped Huamin's face, and kissed it. Honey, are you hiding something from me? Huamin asked him. What do you mean? Qin Chu's eyes seemed to flash. After a few seconds of silence, Huamin looked up into his eyes. Honey, you listened to my call log, didn't you? You investigated their information, didn't you? At this point, other than Qin Chu, Huamin couldn't think of anyone else who could investigate to the States so quickly. Hearing Huamin bring it up, Qin Chu sighed. You're finally willing to tell me now. Honey, I didn't mean to keep it a secret from you. Huamin's was Qin Chu. I know it's not your fault. I've listened to the call log. Xianxia threatened you. You had no choice. You cracked it so quickly? Huamin knew the call record had been tampered with. She wanted to see if she could crack it. Although Qin Chu's hacking skills weren't bad, she was still shocked that he cracked it so quickly. Qin Chu pointed at himself and looked into her eyes calmly. I should thank Dad for this. Dad? Huamin froze. You called Dad, right? Yes. Huamin nodded. Dad sensed something was wrong with you, so he contacted me. I was worried that I couldn't crack the call, but Dad cracked it. I see. Dad, you're amazing. Huamin finally understood. So, don't hide it from me anymore. I know how important Su Yu is to you. I don't want him to die. We owe the Su family a lot, and I, Qin Chu, am not an ungrateful person. But, please, don't shoulder it all by yourself. Let's work together to save Su Yu, okay? Qin Chu didn't blame Huamin for hiding the truth from him. Instead, he comforted her gently, or rather, he felt sorry for his wife. Hearing this, Huamin burst into tears. Scared, Qin Chu immediately went over and hugged Huamin tightly. Chapter 4000. Honey, it's not that I don't want to tell you. I didn't mean to hide it from you. I'm just scared. I'm scared that Suyu will die. I'm scared that those people will go crazy and kill Suyu. If that happens, it'll be too late. It'll be too late for regrets. It was rare for Huamian to lose control like this. She was sobbing as she spoke. Qin Chu's heart ached for her and he kept comforting her. He took out a tissue from the bedside and carefully wiped her tears. Even though Qin Chu had known Huamin for more than 10 years, he rarely saw her lose control like this. No, Suyu will be fine. But those people found out that we investigated them. That's why they punished Suyu. Huamin cried even harder. She took out her cell phone with trembling hands and played the video. She didn't dare to watch it anymore, especially when she saw Suyu's body leaning backward after he was shot. His pale face made her heart ache. Qin Chu took out his cell phone and watched the video. His brows furrowed. He finally understood why Mian was willing to talk about it. It seemed he was wrong. He thought a secret investigation would be enough. But even a cautious person like Rick found out about Mr. Y's investigation. What did that mean? Their enemies were powerful and had a lot of information. They could know what they were doing at any moment. And I was wrong? I shouldn't have. Qin Chu felt guilty. Maybe if he hadn't been so reckless, Suyu wouldn't have been tortured. Although he wasn't shot in a vital part, Suyu wouldn't be able to hold on much longer if those people continued to torture him. It's not your fault. Those people are too hateful. Huamin wanted to kill Xianxia right now. But there was nothing she could do now. Don't cry. Don't scare the baby. With Qin Chu's reminder, Huamin finally noticed that there was a strong fetal movement in her stomach. The baby was already 7 to 8 months old. Huamin's intense emotions caused the baby in her womb to become agitated as well. Only then did Huamin stop crying. She picked up a tissue to wipe her tears and touched her stomach as she apologized. Yu Yao, are you scared by mother? I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. She gently lowered her head and comforted the baby for a while. Only then did the baby calm down and stop moving. Qin Chu looked at Huamin's swollen feet. He quietly carried her to bed, and then went to the bathroom to get hot water for her to soak her feet. Seeing Qin Chu doing these things for him without any complaints, Huamin was especially moved. Hubby. Do my feet look like little pig trotters? Huamin asked mischievously. No, they don't. Then, Mr. Qin continued, pig trotters aren't this fat. Huamin smiled through her tears. Although Mr. Qin's sense of humor was cold and meant to mock her, it always made her feel warmer. Hubby, when my baby is born, will you still wash my feet? So you're doing it for your son. Huamin pretended to be angry. When you give birth, I can't wait to bathe you. Huamin's face turned red upon hearing this. Was Mr. Qin saying something dirty? Then Mr. Qin complained, this kid took up almost 10 months of my time. I'm dying of boredom. When he's born, you'll have to make it up to me slowly. You'll have to bathe with me. Okay, I'll apply body wash for you. Just thinking about the erotic scene made him want to vomit blood. Huamin mumbled shyly, who wants you to apply body wash for me? I don't have hands. Chapter 4001. Your hands aren't free. Don't you have other things to do? Upon hearing this, Huamin's face turned even redder. Honey, you're so perverted. Huamin cupped her burning face with both hands. What are you thinking? Aren't your hands supposed to rub my back? So you're talking about back rub. Huamin was dumbfounded. What else do you want? Qin Chu smirked. Okay, you're playing with me again. Do you think my brain is damaged because I'm pregnant? Honey, are you too arrogant? Do you think your wife can't hold a dragon-slaying knife? Huamin remembered a joke on Weibo and used it. Forget about the dragon-slaying knife. You can't bear to do it to me. The couple chatted lovingly until Qin Chu finished washing Huamin's feet. Huamin leaned on Qin Chu's shoulder. The two of them didn't speak for a long time. Honey. Yeah. Do you understand what Xianxia means? I understand. She wants you to save Suyu alone. Otherwise, she'll kill him. Then you, Huamin was very scared. She was afraid that Qin Chu wouldn't bear to let her go. After all, she was pregnant. Everyone knew how dangerous it was to go alone. I'll think of a way to ensure your safety. Those people are very smart. Disguises won't work. I have to go personally, Huamin said. Yes. Their goal isn't as simple as Suyu. So you might just be bait. The mastermind might want you. As for capturing you, it might have something to do with Dad or Yen. Of course, these are just my guesses. If that's the case, then Suyu is in even more danger. Huamin's eyes darkened. Mian. Yeah. I won't stop you from saving Suyu. After hearing this, Huamin was slightly moved. But you also have to promise me that you will listen to my arrangements and not run around on your own. I will design a reasonable plan to ensure your safety and Suyu's safety at the same time. And hubby, I promise you I will try my best to come back alive. Huamin was very touched by Qin Chu's words. At this sensitive moment, he didn't stop Huamin because he was afraid of death or Huamin's death. Instead, he fulfilled Huamin's wish. Of course, it was because he knew Huamin too well that he knew Huamin had to go this time. Honey, are we looking for Yen? But those people seem to be very powerful. Their top hackers are very powerful. Dad just cracked the code and they seem to be able to track my phone and even yours. What if we ask Yen or Dad for help and their whereabouts are exposed? Wouldn't that be even more troublesome? Let me think about this. Too many things had happened at once and there was too much information. Besides, if he failed to make a decision, Suyu would lose his life. Therefore, he didn't dare to jump to conclusions. He only hoped that Huamin would go on this adventure under his control. At the border of Yunnan, a black off-road vehicle was shuttling through the dense jungle. The woman with the golden mask glanced at the man beside her. You're so obedient. Hee, I told you not to let Huasiqian out. He'll make you unhappy. You two have the same body, so sleeping with you is the same as sleeping with him. It's the same feeling, right? The woman with the golden mask laughed lasciviously. Jack had a ferocious smile on his face. The car drove for about 30 miles and finally stopped in front of a bamboo building. Mr. Y and Xianxia had been waiting for a long time. The woman with the golden mask got out of the car with Jack's help. Everyone knelt on one knee and put their right hands in front of their chests. Welcome, Your Highness. Mr. Y and Xianxia looked like dogs wagging their tails and begging for mercy. Chapter 4002. Facing the people kneeling on the ground, the golden-masked woman didn't show any expression. She only glanced at Mr. Y. Where is he? He's inside. I heard you tortured him. The golden-masked woman lowered her head and turned the ring with a skull on her finger. Her tone was subtle. Mr. Y was too scared to speak, and Xianxia was trembling. Your Highness, it's like this. Suyu is my enemy, so Xianxia seemed to want to explain, but the masked woman's eyes were sharp. Did I ask you a question? Instantly, the whole room fell silent. Jack watched the show with a smirk. During the days he spent with the woman, he learned one thing. The masked lady was a very fickle person. Staying with her was like staying with a tiger. Being with a queen was like being with a queen. No, she was even scarier than an emperor. After all, an emperor wouldn't kill people for no reason, but she would. Jack used to think that the main personality in his body, Huasiqian, was a psycho. He was even more psycho. But after seeing the masked woman, he realized that there was always someone better than him. In front of this woman, Ian and Nalo were considered normal. The masked woman's people had been active in China recently. This was also the reason why Ian had been quiet for so long. Ian and Nalo seemed to be afraid of someone. Even the urgent task of rescuing Huasiqian was put on hold. Somehow, Huasiqian and Jack realized one thing. Firstly, the masked woman's background was unknown. She was very mysterious and terrifying. Second, this woman was so young that she couldn't have such a powerful force that even Lu Yan's people couldn't infiltrate. So, there must be a bigger boss behind her. However, she never showed up, and neither did Huasiqian or Jack. Your Highness, I was wrong. I'm sorry, it was his first time meeting Xianxia. She had been Mr. Y's exclusive property for the past few years, drinking with him. However, he had heard the name Your Highness from Mr. Y's mouth more than once. This woman's identity was enough to make Mr. Y bow down to her. Zhao Qingya did not dare to offend him. After all, she had unintentionally scolded a young Russian model that Mr. Y had just slept with. They were beaten half to death by Mr. Y and had their noses broken. Later on, they learned their lesson. No matter what Mr. Y said, she didn't dare to disobey. After all, he didn't like her. He was just toying with her and controlling her. Therefore, Zhao Qingya hadn't been living a comfortable life in the past few years. Even when she was abroad, she was abused and lived like a dog without dignity. Therefore, when she saw Su Yu, she exploded in anger. She couldn't wait to kill Su Yu to vent the hatred in her heart. But in fact, Su Yu had never done any direct harm to her. It was all her own fault that she was in this situation today. However, Zhao Qingya and Hui Yanyan were the same kind of people. They would never admit that it was their fault. They would only think that this depressing experience was caused by someone else. Hua Mian had discussed this with Jiang Xiaowei before. If a woman's mouth was full of venom, she complained about everything and everything she saw was bad, then it meant that she wasn't living a good life and was depressed. Zhao Qingya was indeed such a person. The masked woman ignored Zhao Qingya's begging. She glanced at Jack and said mildly, "Take out the things I want. Take out the things I prepared. I'm going to play with Su Yu." Chapter 4003. Jack nodded obediently and went back to the trunk of the off-road vehicle to take out a black plastic bag. Then, the two of them walked in. After the masked girl walked in, the group behind her dared to stand up. "That person looks like Hu Xiqian," Zhao Qingya said in a low voice. When she was in China, she had met Hu Xiqian many times, so she had always wanted to ask why Hu Xiqian was with that woman. However, as soon as she said that, Mr. Y slapped her hard in the face. Zhao Qingya saw stars from the beating. Blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. "Shut up and don't talk in front of His Highness, or I'll skin you alive." Zhao Qingya covered her face and didn't dare to say a word. Mr. Y had always been a violent maniac. Especially after he started taking drugs, he became even more violent, so Zhao Qingya was very afraid of him. Now that she saw how afraid he was of that woman, Zhao Qingya didn't dare to say a word. After all, she knew what these people were capable of. This masked girl was crueler than the ferocious Y. She was definitely not a good person. This time, the masked girl came with a low profile and only brought Jack with her. It was obvious that she was very confident in herself and wasn't afraid of anyone rebelling. After the masked girl changed her clothes, she walked out and stood in front of Jack. It was a very casual hoodie, jeans, and white sneakers. It was a very casual outfit, and her hair was tied up in a simple ponytail. Then, in front of Jack, the girl slowly took off her mask. Jack's eyes became deep. It was an indescribable emotion, and he fell into a deep trance. "Do I look like him?" The moment the girl spoke, Jack was about to go crazy. Very. He tried to suppress his emotions. "I'll wait for me outside. I'll go see him." Then, the masked girl walked into the small wooden house where Su Yu was locked up. Jack guarded the door and was on guard against everything outside. After Su Yu was shot, his wound began to fester because he didn't treat it in time. Also, he had a high fever because of the infection. He didn't even touch the food and water that was brought in. It was as if he didn't want to live anymore. He wanted to give up. He even wanted to say that if he died just like that, Hua Min wouldn't have to take the risk. In short, Su Yu was curled up in the corner of the cabin with his eyes closed. His face was extremely haggard. The young master of the Su family, the young master of a wealthy family, was now just an ordinary person on the verge of death. "Su Yu, Su Yu." After hearing the familiar voice, Su Yu slowly opened his eyes. When he saw the woman in front of him, his eyes lit up. "Am I going to die? Am I experiencing terminal lucidity? It's good to see you." Su Yu's voice was very weak. He reluctantly raised his hand, ignoring the pain of the bullet on his collarbone, and reached out to touch the delicate face of the woman in front of him. Mian, I'm dying. I might not be able to protect you anymore. Su Yu, don't die. Look at me, I'm here to save you. Thank you for coming to my dream. It's good to see you one last time, even if it's a dream. Su Yu was a little dizzy from his fever and thought he was dreaming. But the woman picked up a bowl of water and placed it by Su Yu's lips. Drink some water first. Su Yu subconsciously took a big gulp. Then he gradually woke up. He rubbed his eyes and looked carefully again. The person in front of him was indeed Huamin. Mian. Su Yu was shocked this time. He now understood that this wasn't a dream. It was real. The woman smiled but didn't say anything. When Su Yu looked down, he was even more surprised. Mian, where's your child? Huamin was supposed to be a pregnant woman with a big belly who was about to give birth. However, the woman in front of him had a flat belly, just like Huamin when she was a young girl a few years ago. Yes, it wasn't a perfect likeness. It wasn't a low-end imitation like Zhang Manlin's. This was the real deal. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.